Hello, and welcome to episode 2, Climate Chronicles of Lali's EduHub, the reliable corner of YouTube where we debunk myths and bring you nothing but the facts. Today, we're embarking on a mission to tackle one of the most pressing issues of our time, climate change, and more specifically, the skepticism surrounding it. If you've ever been confused by conflicting narratives or fallen prey to common misconceptions, you're not alone. Climate change is a complex subject, shrouded in myths and misunderstandings. But fear not, for we are here to guide you through the fog of misinformation, unmask the truths, and shine a light on facts. So, buckle up, dear viewers, as we journey together through the climate change debate, dissecting common myths, and revealing the hard science that underscores this global concern. It's time for some myth-busting climate change edition. Stay tuned, and let's start unveiling the skepticism. Have you ever wondered why, despite overwhelming scientific consensus, some people continue to deny or downplay climate change? It's an intriguing conundrum, isn't it? There's a term for this. It's called climate change skepticism. It's more widespread than you might think, and it's a significant roadblock in our collective path towards addressing this existential threat. Some skeptics are influenced by misinformation, while others may be swayed by political or economic interests. Then, there are the myths. Oh, the myriad myths that circulate like wildfire, fueling this skepticism. You've probably heard a few. Climate change is just a natural cycle. Or, there's no consensus among scientists. Or perhaps, it's cold outside, so global warming isn't real. These misconceptions, though seemingly harmless, are potent tools of denial, standing in the way of critical action. So, strap in, folks. It's time to clear the air, so to speak. Let's dig into these misconceptions and reveal the science behind climate change. One common myth is that climate change is just a part of Earth's natural cycle. But is it really? Well, it's a fact that Earth's climate does naturally fluctuate over time. However, the current changes we're seeing are unprecedented in both speed and scale. Scientists have delved deep into the past to understand Earth's climate history. They've drilled into ice sheets to extract ice cores, which are like time capsules preserving snapshots of the atmosphere from hundreds of thousands of years ago. What these ice cores reveal is enlightening. They show that the level of greenhouse gases, like carbon dioxide, is far higher now than at any point in the last 800,000 years. This rapid increase aligns with the Industrial Revolution, when we started burning fossil fuels en masse. Hence, while climate change does occur naturally, the evidence points to human activities accelerating it dramatically. So, the natural cycle argument. It doesn't hold up under scrutiny. Another myth that's often bandied about is that there's no consensus among scientists about climate change. But what does the data say? Well, the numbers speak for themselves. The fact is, a staggering 97% or more of climate scientists agree that climate change is real and primarily caused by human activities. This isn't a small group of scientists, by the way. We're talking about thousands of professionals from around the world, each with their own area of expertise, all coming to the same conclusion. This consensus isn't a flimsy agreement either. It's robust. It means that despite minor disagreements on specifics, there's a strong, overarching agreement on the fundamentals. Our planet is warming, and we are the primary cause. So when you hear someone say there's no consensus among scientists about climate change, remember the 97%. Remember the robust consensus. Clearly, lack of consensus is another myth that needs busting. Ever heard the argument, it's cold outside, so global warming isn't real? Well, let's debunk that misconception right now. You see, there's a crucial difference between weather and climate. Weather is what you experience when you step outside. It can be sunny, rainy, hot, or indeed cold. It's immediate and localized. On the other hand, climate is the long-term average of weather patterns. So, a single cold day, or even a cold week, doesn't negate the fact of global warming. Now, here's an interesting twist. Global warming can actually lead to more extreme weather events, including severe cold snaps. This may seem counterintuitive, but a warmer atmosphere can hold more moisture, leading to heavier snowfalls. And shifts in atmospheric currents driven by warming could send frigid air from the poles, sweeping across continents. So, a cold day doesn't mean global warming is a hoax. It's just weather, not climate. Some people think that climate change won't affect them personally, but how true is that? Let's take a moment to ponder upon this. Climate change isn't just about polar bears in the Arctic or communities living on low-lying islands. It's about each and every one of us, no matter where we reside on this planet. First off, let's talk about weather. It's not just about milder winters or scorching summers. It's about the frequency and severity of extreme weather events. We're talking hurricanes, floods, droughts, and heat waves. You may not live in a hurricane zone, but what about that unexpected flood or unusual heat wave? These events can disrupt lives, causing property damage and even loss of life. Next, let's talk about sea levels. As the planet warms, ice in the polar regions melts, causing sea levels to rise. This doesn't just affect coastal communities. Rising sea levels can lead to increased coastal erosion, more frequent and severe flooding, and even the loss of habitats for marine life, which can impact the food chain and affect seafood supplies. And what about agriculture? Changes in temperature and rainfall patterns can significantly impact crop yields. This could lead to a decrease in the availability of certain foods and an increase in food prices. So even if you're living in a city far from the farm fields, you might still feel the pinch at the grocery store. Lastly, let's not forget about health impacts. Increasing temperatures can exacerbate air pollution, leading to a rise in respiratory and cardiovascular problems. Extreme weather events can also lead to mental health issues and stress-related disorders. So, the next time you hear someone saying, "Climate change won't affect me," maybe you can remind them of these facts. Climate change is an all-encompassing issue that impacts us all, directly and indirectly. It's not just someone else's problem, it's our problem. So, the idea that climate change won't affect you, that's another myth debunked. All right, we've debunked several myths about climate change. Now let's talk about what we can do about it. You might think that as an individual, your actions won't make a significant difference, but every little bit helps, and when combined with the actions of others, can lead to substantial change. So, what can you do? First, strive to reduce your energy usage. This can be as simple as turning off lights when you leave a room, using energy-efficient appliances, or cutting back on air conditioning and heating. Second, consider your transportation choices. Can you walk, bike, or take public transit instead of driving? If you need a car, could it be a hybrid or electric? Third, think about your diet. Livestock farming contributes significantly to greenhouse gas emissions, so reducing your consumption of meat and dairy can have a big impact. Fourth, recycle and compost. Landfills are a major source of methane, a potent greenhouse gas. By recycling and composting, you can help reduce the amount of waste that ends up in landfills. And finally, educate others. Share what you've learned about climate change and encourage them to take action as well. Remember, we all have a role to play in combating climate change, so let's get started. Together, we can make a difference. So we've debunked some common climate change myths, but what's the key takeaway here? We've explored that climate change isn't just a natural cycle, but a significant shift driven by human activities. We've looked at the overwhelming consensus among scientists that climate change is a real and pressing issue. We've also tackled the misconception that a cold day disproves global warming, understanding that weather is not the same as climate. And finally, we've addressed the myth that climate change won't affect us personally, highlighting the broad and serious impacts it has on our world and lives. The science behind climate change is clear and undeniable. Ignorance or denial will not make the problem disappear. Instead, it's crucial that we recognize the reality of climate change and take necessary action to mitigate its impacts. It's about our future, the future of our planet. Remember, understanding climate change is the first step towards combating it. So let's embrace the facts, not the myths.